What's up, everybody? Ashley here from Chili Piper. I hope you guys can hear me. Can you throw a 1 in the chat if you can hear me? Dope. Okay. So yeah, we've got 15 minutes. It's going to be short and sweet, but we're going to be talking about creativity in sales. Something I'm very passionate about. Yeah, we'll get into it. So first thing I want you guys to do is throw in the chat like the most creative thing you did to book a meeting or close a deal. So go ahead and just throw that in there, and we'll get started with the presentation. So let me figure out technology first, because that's a thing. Okay, sharing the screen. All right, can everybody see that presentation, the deck? You can throw 1 in the chat for that, or 2. Throw 2 in the chat if you can see that. Dope. Okay. So creativity in sales. Some of you may think I'm a salesperson. I'm not a creative. Like, what the heck are you talking about? I'm here to assure you that you can indeed be creative in whatever department, whatever industry you are in. So a quick overview. What is it? Why should we be creative in sales? And then how? So yeah, first things first. What is it? So creativity. It's defined as the tendency to generate or recognize ideas, alternatives, or possibilities that may be useful in solving problems, communicating with others, and entertaining ourselves and others. So most of the time we think of creative things as like entertainment only, right? Artists, musicians, dancers, some sort of performers, that kind of thing. But in fact, creativity at its heart is problem solving. And for those of us who are in sales and marketing, that's what we do all day, is problem solve. So when I first joined the tech world, some of you who know me know that I came from a professional dance career. And so when I was making the move into the tech industry, everyone was like, oh, you definitely have to go into marketing. That's where your creative brain will be best used, right? And they're not wrong. But over the course of my years in the tech industry and now the past year and change that I've been in sales, I'm fully recognizing that my creative brain is well suited for the sales role. So I'm excited to kind of share some of that stuff with you all. So yeah, that's what creativity is, and yeah, solving problems, heart of what we do. So why is this important? Why are you here? Why are we talking about creativity in sales? So there's this thing called hedonic adaptation. And this is going to be a real wordy definition here, but it basically is the psychological process by which people become accustomed to a stimulus such that the emotional effects of that stimulus are attenuated over time. What the heck? What were all those words that just came out of my mouth? Imagine, okay, I've never been skydiving. I'm going to go jump out of an airplane today. I'm probably going to scream my head off. If I do it 50 times, the 50th time, I'm just going to roll down and be like, yeah, that was fun, right? So you do the same thing over and over again. It becomes less like, holy shit, what was that? Same with content creation, same with outreach. You know, we hear it all the time that like, okay, this cadence works really well because it's either funny or interesting or it's just new. You're using like a new approach, right? But after a while, once enough people get their hands on it, it's no longer as effective, as impactful. So the idea of like resting on our laurels or accepting the status quo, that's not an option. We have transitioned from being like in the agricultural age of work to the industrial age of work, and then the knowledge age. Daniel Pink, he has a book called A Whole New Mind where he posits we are now in the conceptual age of work. So it's no longer acceptable to be like, I can just do this task over and over again and that's fine. We have to be more creative and solve problems day to day in our roles. So yeah, so this is why this is important and why using this in sales is like epic. I mean, I love it. I don't know if some of you have seen some of the creative things that have come out of our content team, but it definitely helps in the sales role for so many reasons. Okay, great. How do we do that? there are many, many ways. I don't expect that everybody become like this creative genius and create like, you know, Mozart compositions tomorrow, or write like an award-winning novel. But every day we can try new things to kind of stimulate ourselves and others and flex that creative muscle. So here's a few things that we can do. Number one, associating. So Richard Branson, he has this whole thing at Virgin where he's ABCD, always be connecting the dots, drawing connections between questions, problems, ideas, and these can be from unrelated fields, right? Like get outside of your little box, get inspired by other people, other industries. So Kevin Dorsey does an exercise with his team where, you know, he'll take like a random thing on his desk, like my drumstick. I have drumsticks on my desk. Yes, it's a thing. And he'll ask like, okay, how can you relate this, or how can you connect this to, you know, in his case, patient pop, or in my case, chili piper. I don't know, I would have to think about it for a second, but anyway, that's just a way, like an exercise to get you thinking, get your brain going on how to make those connections. Another way to kind of prompt yourself to be a little more creative is questioning. This is how we've always done it, is the kiss of death to all things, but especially to creativity and innovation. So if somebody throws that your way, question it, please. Observing, basically just looking, listening, and learning from your surroundings. A really great piece of advice I was given early on when I was still on the marketing side of things, when I was writing a lot of content, I was like, if you're getting stuck on what to write, read. So yeah, just like taking a look at what's going on around you and being inspired by that. Networking, I think we all know how to do that. And yeah, just meeting new people. Again, try to meet people outside of your own bubble. Like if you're in sales, try to talk to customer success folks. Or if you're in marketing, try to talk to product people, right? Look outside of your industry. Look outside of tech. Look outside of business in general. You'll be inspired, and yeah. Diversity of thought is a real thing. So try to leverage that. And then experimenting. So don't be afraid to try new things. Hopefully you're in a space where failing is encouraged, because if you're never pushing those boundaries or pushing those edges, it's going to be hard to innovate and create. So being able to experiment, try new things, basically just like be bold and unorthodox. Wayne McGregor, he's one of my favorite choreographers. He says, misbehave more beautifully more often. So yeah, again, status quo, not an option for us. And then here's a couple of things that I like to share with. I give a training to all of our new SDRs when they start at Chili Piper, and it's basically on like brand building. And when it comes to content creation and writing LinkedIn posts, for example, these are just a few pieces of advice that I give on how to overcome like a creative block or a writer's block. First being to collaborate. I've got a few quotes here if you want to check those out. Obviously, if you're surrounding yourself with really amazing people, leverage that. Like ask for help, ask for feedback. Big shout out to Morgan for giving me feedback on this presentation this morning. You're the realist. Change your surroundings. So even if you get up and go do a walk around the block and come back to your desk, things within you have like physiologically have changed because you went out, you're in a new space, you come back, and maybe you'll have a different perspective, right? And lastly, limitations equal freedom. So telling yourself that you have all the time, all the money, all the colors on the palette, that's like a creativity killer, right? So one of my favorite example of this, thanks Tom, you're amazing too. My favorite example of constraints equaling creative freedom is the Dr. Seuss book Green Eggs and Ham. So throw a 3 in the chat if you're familiar. Sweet. That classic children's book. That book came from his publisher telling him, write a book using less than 50 words, or using no more than 50 words. So not 50 total word count, but like 50 words. That's how Green Eggs and Ham came to be. So yeah, limitations equal freedom. So these are just some ways of how you can start prompting those creative juices to start flowing on a day-to-day. So we've got 4 minutes left, and I wanted to make sure we left time for any questions anybody might have. But I asked my LinkedIn network a while back, like, what was the most creative thing they had ever done to book a meeting or close a deal? And here's a few examples that I got. I think they're so brilliant, so I wanted to share them with you. Also, some books that I recommend. So Creativity Inc. is about Pixar. A Whole New Mind, I mentioned it earlier, Daniel Pink's book. And then Steal Like an Artist. So oftentimes people think in order to be creative, they have to come up with something completely new. Yes and no. Definitely don't plagiarize. Like that's frowned upon. Don't do that. But definitely take inspiration from those around you. So this book, Steal Like an Artist, is pretty great in kind of explaining the differences of that. And so yeah, here's a couple of examples of what my network brought up to me as like the things they did to either book a meeting or close a deal. So this person sent a book that they thought they would like to their prospect. This person donated to a charity of their prospect's choice, which ended in a booked call and closed deal. This person sent donuts, and they booked instantly. I would book it. Send me donuts. I'll book with you. This person made a colored pencil drawing of their logo and used that as an opening shot in a video of reciting a poem that they were able to cover. Multi-layered creativity there. Fascinating. Amir, that's a great question. This person sent a video of them doing handstand push-ups while talking about why they should book a meeting. That's epic. Don't think I could do that, but super rad. They also sent a video running down the street eating tacos. She said, long story. I didn't get that story, but I bet it's amazing. This person saw that the significant other of their prospect was looking for a job and offered to help. And that was awesome. And this is my ultimate favorite. Sent a Justin Bieber video of what do you mean in an email after receiving a no. She called me back laughing. So you can see here, there's various ways that you can be creative in your outreach. There's lots of ways to start flexing that creative muscle. So whether it's coming up with new cadence emails, new cold call scripts, new follow-up techniques. If you're a marketer, if it's just new ideas for blog posts, videos, events, etc. So yeah. That's what I've got for you today. We have, now we're at 90 seconds. I did it. Jared, JP, you'll be proud of me. I did it in less than 15 minutes. So yeah, let's see. I'm going to the Justin. Okay. Awesome, you guys. So yeah, throw in the chat. What's the most creative thing you guys have ever done to book a meeting or close a deal or anything? Tell me. I want to know. Also, follow me on LinkedIn. There's all my info right there. Thanks, Morgan. How do you scale creativity? Experimenting versus using what works. Great question, Will. I think you just always have to be iterating, right? If something works really well, like roll with it. And then when you start realizing like, okay, that's starting to lose its edge, pick one thing about it and change it, right? You don't have to scrap everything and start from a blank page again. Yeah. Thanks, Tom. Awesome, Stella. You guys are rad. Thank you so much.